Well, 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 well. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be back, and it's been a long time, but I'm alive. That's right. Thank you, baby. I love you too. I just bless every day, man.
Scouring Memphis and every corner of America, one film investigates the world's most famous urban legend.
Is Elvis still alive?
An ambulance brought the king of rock and roll to Baptist Hospital at 3 o'clock this afternoon. His road manager had found Elvis in his bedroom at his Graceland mansion, unconscious. He wasn't breathing. By the time the ambulance reached the hospital, efforts to revive Elvis had failed.
Over the years, I've made a lot of good friends, and I think that I think at this time it's going to be better inside of this nice place. I could look out the window now, and I can see a lot like it was meant to be. Some of the time, getting myself back into shape, it's not easy to get everything, done at the same time. There's been a lot of things that have happened, over the years, and I've got to be very careful. I mean, over the years, and I've got to be very careful.
He had gone to Hawaii and came back, and now I think he's going back into the business again.
I've got to be very careful. I think I know who you are. And I met a young lady just the other day, and you don't show me right. Right then and there, in the supermarket, she started to cry, and I said, "Honey, don't you cry." And the tears just continued to fall, down her face. She put her arms around me and she said, "I feel I know what you've been through." She said, "I'll always love you." Looking forward to, a lot of good things in the future. Here it is,
Do you ever feel communication with your father? You ever feel a channeling? Some people claim that they feel their father or their mother departed around them.
I don't know. We're getting into a hairy, controversial field here, and I'd rather...
Yeah, you can feel it or feel it.
No, I mean, if I don't want to answer.
Why's you got the tight? I've seen you now. They know who I am. They're gonna find me. They're gonna get me. Oh, Lord. What have I done? Okay. It's time. The world to know that Elvis he's still living. Years on the tape. Be warned.
I'd like to welcome into Elvis Fantasy.
Do you know who I am? Have you any idea who I am? I know it's been quite a while, and it's so good to see you again. It's so dark in this place, I can't see your face. May we leave? Oh, I see. Does he know who I am? And what once was between you and me? Do you know how I tried? Have you any idea how I tried? Not to keep you inside. Do you know, darling, how much I cried? I remember you said that you had to forget about me and be free. Maybe some other time, in some other place, with our love in your heart and a smile on your face, you will know who I am. When that time comes, you'll know who I am. You will know who I am. When that time comes, you'll know who I am. Yeah, baby.
All right, we brought in an audio analyst to find out if the voice on the tape is, in fact, that of Elvis Presley.
Have 2 years of sobering Army life changed your mind about rock and roll?
Sobering Army life? No, it hasn't. It hasn't changed my mind, because I was in tanks for a long time, you see. And they rock and roll quite a bit.
I started traveling all over the world, and it's been enjoyable, but it's been a constant battle of growing beards and this and that to keep from being recognized.
Who was recorded during that 1981 phone conversation? Was it Elvis Presley? One way we can find out is to utilize some tools from law enforcement to electronically contrast and compare the voice of the real Elvis Presley and the voice on the tape. L.H. Williams works with a major police department in Texas and is an expert on audio voice prints, and here is his report.
Gail had sent me a copy of a transcript of the tape recording of the unknown person, and this was 4 pages long. In this process, I also requested copies of known tape recordings of Elvis Presley, and I followed the guidelines that were established during the Watergate case for possible authentication of the tape recording. I selected the same words and phrases of the known and the unknown person for comparison purposes. This is the known sample of Elvis Presley stating the word music. This is a sample from the unknown tape recording showing the word music. The formats that were formed fall within the same frequency range through here, which would indicate a match. Basically, the known voice of Elvis Presley compared with the voice on this tape is the same.
Now let's assume for a second that this test conclusively proves that Elvis made this recording. Can we be sure that it was made after 1977? We've made a transcription of the recording, and we marked down specific things that the caller said. If any one of these comments describes events that happened after Elvis's alleged death, then the argument that he might still be alive is stronger.
People ask me all the time where I'm living. And naturally, I can't say, but it's a good place to hide. And there was an island that I had learned about a long time ago, and I guess I always knew that someday I'd probably have to use it. Anyway, I must have spent a year on the island. I started traveling all over the world, and it's been enjoyable, but it's been a constant battle of growing beards and this and that to keep from being recognized. And I guess about 2 years ago, I went to Europe, which is something I've always wanted to do, something I've wanted to do for a long time. I realized that sooner or later, it's probably going to end. You know, I hate to think that it's going to end, but I know sometime the secret has got to be let out. If it hadn't been for getting involved in what I'm involved in now, you know, things as such, maybe it'd been different.
Well, I think that last statement speaks for itself. But, Maria, let me ask you about some of the other things that we heard. Prior to his death, had Elvis ever spent a year on an island, any island?
No, he didn't. He never spent a year away from the public eye. He was in the public eye all the time. We would have heard about it.
All right, when Elvis was 24, we know that he was in the Army and he went to Europe. But did he go to Europe 2 years before that?
No, the first time he went to Europe was when he was going to Germany in the Army in 1958.
Now, so far, we've introduced you to witnesses who believe that Elvis Presley was not really buried in August of 1977. We've also presented evidence that Elvis Presley has been seen on multiple occasions, and perhaps most importantly, we presented what appears to be physical documentation that Elvis has been photographed and recorded. Now, let's make an assumption for a moment. Elvis Presley staged his own death. Why would a man blessed with wealth, fame, extraordinary talent choose to vanish from the public this way? Just who was Elvis Presley? A rock and roller, movie star, devoted father, world-famous celebrity. There was the public Elvis, and then there was the private Elvis. Two of his favorite hobbies were law enforcement and religious studies. Both of these passions may have inspired the chain of events that took place on August 16th, 1977.
Before Elvis Presley wanted to be a singer, he wanted to be in law enforcement. By 1970, Elvis had received many honorary and real law enforcement credentials and was convinced that he had unique services he could offer his country. And being Elvis, he decided to get what he wanted by going straight to the top. In December of 1970, Elvis flew to Washington, D.C., writing a letter en route to then-President Richard Nixon.
Dear Mr. President, first, I would like to introduce myself. I am Elvis Presley and admire you and have great respect for your office. I talked to Vice President Agnew in Palm Springs 1 week ago and expressed my concerns for our country. The drug culture, the hippie elements, the SDS, Black Panther, etc., do not consider me as their enemy, or as they call it, the establishment. I call it America.
In this letter, Elvis volunteered to become a federal agent, saying his contacts with the youth culture would allow him access into worlds that other undercover agents could only dream of penetrating. After the letter arrived at the White House, some of Nixon's aides debated whether it would be in the president's interest to meet with Presley. Here is the memo that decided the issue. Nixon took the advice and decided to meet with Elvis to give him the credentials he wanted. Elvis got his wish, a presidential appointment as a secret DEA agent. Some feel that Elvis was just playing make-believe, but it has been verified that Elvis allowed an undercover agent to infiltrate his road crew from 1974 to 1976. What was that secret agent investigating? Nobody will say for sure. At this same time, Elvis had become immersed in writings dealing with human spirituality and religion. Perhaps the most widely known entertainer in the world, Elvis was able to keep both of these sides of his personality a secret to the general public. His spiritual side he kept secret because he wanted to. His undercover life he kept secret because he had to. And this brings us to the FBI files. According to the records, there are more than 1,400 pages of files on Elvis Presley. The first stems from a citizen complaint in 1956 reporting Elvis's bad attitude. The last report was made in 1983 and describes the sale of a car that allegedly once belonged to Elvis. But by far the longest and most significant document covers the years 1976 to 1982. Containing over 1,000 pages, it concerns a criminal investigation and a man named Frederick Peter Pro.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
Received a letter today. And ladies and gentlemen, here's my letter back. And just tell me what you think and everything. So I said to her, I said, I saw the change, and it came into our lives. We're not the same as we once were to be. And you know it is too late. We got so many mistakes. I just can't stick around forever. She said to me, love slipped away and left us only friends. And I almost feel like a total stranger in my hometown. And all else between us are the children we're leaving behind, and times before we get on together. Oh man, there's nothing left to do but go our separate ways and pick up all the pieces left behind us. And maybe someday, somewhere along the way, perhaps another love will find us. I had to keep telling my son and my daughter things, so I had to say, son, someday when you're older, maybe you will understand. While your mom and daddy ain't together no more. I know, son, that you wanna cry, and baby girl, daddy ain't gonna die. Me and your mommy just can't stay friends forever. So, son, listen to me. There's nothing left to do anymore, son, that I go my separate ways. Son, take it off your mommy and daddy. Look off your mommy for me, boy. Son, I'm going somewhere. Somewhere you can't come with me, son. Just look after your little sister. You hear me, son? My son, you said, Daddy, I don't want you to leave, Daddy. Even if your mommy don't work out and everything, you're still my daddy. Daddy, please. The tears that I can cry when I have to say goodbye will tear my heart out forever. Sorry, son.
Next thing, they thought Frank Sinatra might be the rat. They tried to kill Frank by blowing up his plane that he leased from a mafia front company called Jet Avia. But his mama got on the plane instead of him.
A snowstorm today hampered the search for Natalie Sinatra and 3 others who were aboard a chartered jet plane that vanished last night.
Then somebody tried to put a bomb on my plane in Pittsburgh, but the FBI stopped it. So of course I was worried. Them boys believed the only good witness was a dead witness.
What happened next?
In June of '77, the FBI told me my life was in grave danger. They had wiretapped a meeting at a mafia social club in Brooklyn. Bill Ayers and some Black Panthers and a Gambino mobster named Paul Castellano was there. They all agreed I must be a federal agent, and they put out a contract on me. The Weathermen, the Panthers, and the Mafia, a triple threat.
What did you do?
Well, I was very nervous. It would be easy for anyone to shoot me on stage. Bullets would not bounce off me like they did Captain Marvel Jr. So I called President Carter and I asked him for Secret Service protection, but he said it was something only the president could have. So I told him I was running for president. He laughed, but said he would recommend me for the Witness Protection Program. But I realized if I was alive, that Lisa Marie and Daddy would be in danger. And Mama had died so young, and I'd lost my twin brother. I had to find a way to live for them. That's when I remembered Master Comics number 110, Captain Marvel Jr. and the Hidden Death. I must have read it 100 times. It was where Captain Marvel Jr. faked his own death to deceive his enemies. Then he defeated them and came back as a hero. That was my way out.
What about giving up your music career?
It was at a dead end. And I couldn't make any money selling records because in '73 the Colonel had sold my royalties to RCA to cover gambling debts. By early '77, the Colonel was into the Las Vegas Hilton for $20 million. The FBI tipped me off that he had sold half my contract to Paul Castellano to pay it off. I wasn't working for an Italian crime syndicate. Since I got back from the Army, my career was kind of a living death anyway. And all those bad movies, now I was just an image in people's minds. So why not just kill the image and come back later as my own damn self? I could work undercover to defeat my enemies like Captain Marvel Jr. had done. Then, after a year or two, I could return as an American hero and restart my music career, just like when I came back from Germany. It would be fantastic.
What did the others think about the fake death idea? Colonel Parker, Dr. Nick?
The Colonel said it was a great move, public relations-wise. That it'd be a great way to make money off the fans. You see, the Colonel couldn't control me anymore in life. I was sick of him. I was more valuable to him dead. Dr. Nick said it would help me get off the prescriptions. I had come to realize that just because I was getting it from a doctor didn't mean it was good for me. Today, entertainers admit it, and they go to drug rehab, and the fans don't mind. But you couldn't do it at that time.
How did you put the plan together to fake your death?
We came up with a fantastic design, just like Captain Marvel Jr. had done. Dr. Nick had a terminal patient with no family who was a big fan, and he looked a lot like me, my height, my age. So Dr. Nick suggested that we let him come to the pool house at Graceland to live. Then, when he expired, we could swap his body for mine. Dr. Nick gave him some cosmetic surgery, got him looking even more like me.
What was his name?
Roscoe Holloway. He was from Germantown, Tennessee. The only problem was Roscoe was heavier than me. He went about 250 and I was only 170. So I ate a lot of ice cream and fried foods, especially late at night. So we would match up when it came time.
But how could you possibly pick a date for Roscoe to pass away?
August 15th was our target date because I had to testify for a grand jury against Frederick Pro. He ran Air Cargo Airlines out of Florida. It was a mafia front company for stealing aircraft. I had sold him one of my airplanes in a sting. Dr. Nick was sure Roscoe would expire in time. And then he'd keep him on life support. So we planned the body swap and everyone's job. On August 15th, I put on my DEA staff tracksuit. I testified for the grand jury. Then I went home. I went to my dentist around 11 p.m. since I wouldn't be able to see him for a long time. Then I got everyone out of the house, my cousin Billy and my girlfriend Ginger. She looked just like Mama when she was young. I called her Little Gladys. We went to play racquetball.
At what time?
It was around 2 a.m. Once we left the house, Dr. Nick went to the pool house and took Roscoe off life support. Then he and Joe dressed Roscoe in my blue pajamas and put his body in my bathroom closet. Ginger and I went back to the house around 6 a.m. and went to bed. After a while, I told her I was going to Reid in the bathroom. Then I took a sedative Dr. Nick had given me, and I went to sleep on the bathroom floor. At about 2 in the afternoon, Ginger woke up, came into the bathroom, and saw me lying there. I heard her holler to Joe that I had fainted. So Joe came running upstairs and put on a pretty good show and called 911. Then Dr. Nick came running in. When the ambulance arrived, I slowed my breathing for the medics. I learned that in martial arts. Dr. Nick ordered them to put an oxygen mask on me and fetch a stretcher. That's when we did the body swap. I got into the closet. Dr. Nick put the oxygen mask on Roscoe and set him on the floor. Then the medics came back and put Roscoe on the stretcher. Dr. Nick went along in the ambulance so he could identify the body at the hospital as Elvis Presley.
Tonight, August 16th.
Good evening. Elvis Presley died today. He was 42. His doctor pronounced him dead at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
What did you do next? What was the plan for you?
First thing was, I had to bust out of the bathroom closet because they'd locked the door on me. Then I went out the bathroom window onto the rooftop. The plan was for a DEA helicopter to pick me up. And I was going to fly to Argentina till things blew over, then on to Kalamazoo, Michigan. But the helicopter saw a television crew outside the gate and left. So I shimmied down the side of the house and walked into the pool house.
It is a scene in Memphis. Thousands of people milling around outside the mansion where Elvis Presley's body lies.
Was it part of the plan to have a public viewing of the body the day after?
No, it wasn't. As soon as my so-called death was announced, Colonel Parker got a call from Paul Castellano, who screamed at him, "This is bullshit." The colonel got scared and insisted on an open casket to prove I had died. There were no cameras allowed, but the National Enquirer paid my cousin Bobby Mann to sneak one in.
Now, at the public viewing, it was said you didn't look real.
That's right. The problem was, as Roscoe got sicker, then being on life support, he lost weight. Well, I had gained weight. So by now, we didn't look much alike. But Daddy remembered that Madame Tussauds Wax Museum in London had sculpted my head for a wax dummy and sent it for approval. Daddy still had the wax head in his office back of the house. So we glued on some sideburns and hair. I thought the hairline was too low.
When we viewed the body, his nose looked kind of puggy looking, and his hairpiece, something glued on somewhere. It just didn't look right. I just didn't believe it was him.
Another problem was Madame Tussauds had made a 25-year-old Elvis head, so it looked too young. But in show business, you work with what you have. Then for the body, we took a wax mannequin from out of my closet where I kept my costumes. And the wax head and body caused another problem. It was so hot in Memphis in August, we had to put an air conditioner in the coffin to keep the wax from melting.
Afternoon temperatures rose into the 90s. The scheduled viewing of Presley's body was delayed an hour. People began fainting.
So at the funeral, they buried a giant candle and an air conditioner. It took 9 guys to carry it. It looked a little suspicious.
Were there any other major mistakes?
Well, Joe was supposed to say I was found in the bathroom, but he mixed it up with an earlier story we discussed that I was found in bed.
Well, he was upstairs in his bedroom, and I went upstairs to talk to him. He wasn't breathing when I got up there.
Was he lying on the bed?
Yeah.
Another problem was Dr. Nick had me fill out my death certificate in June. He was supposed to type it up, but his secretary filed the original that was in my handwriting.
What about the spelling of your middle name on the gravestone? Why the extra A, A-A-R-O-N, instead of just A-R-O-N, as on your birth certificate?
That wasn't a mistake. It was intentional. Who wants to see their name on their grave? I had no intention of putting a hex on myself.
Why didn't they drape your casket in an American flag as an ex-Army officer?
That would have been disrespectful to the flag and others who gave their lives for our country.
Anything else to add about faking your death?
Well, I feel badly to this day because, you know, I know Roscoe was dying, but I suspect Dr. Nick may have finished him off to keep the schedule.
You look down into her blue eyes. and said, say a prayer for me. She threw her arms around him, whispered, God will keep us free. He could hear the riders coming. He said, this is my last fight. If they take me back to Texas, they won't take me back alive. There were 7 Spanish angels in the altar of the sun. They were praying for lovers in the valley of the gun. When the battle stopped and the smoke cleared, there was thunder from the throne. And 7 Spanish angels, they took another angel home. She reached down and picked the gun up that lay smoking in his hand. She said, Father, please forgive me. I can't make it without my man. And she knew the gun was empty, and she knew she couldn't win. But her final prayer was answered when those rifles fired again. There were 7 Spanish angels and the altar of the sun. They were praying for the lovers in the valley of the gun. When the battle stopped and the smoke cleared, there was thunder from the throne. And 7 Spanish angels took another angel home. There were 7 Spanish angels in the altar of the sun. They were praying for the lovers in the valley of the gun. When the battle stopped and the smoke cleared, there was thunder from the throne, yeah. And 7 Spanish angels, they took another angel home. There were 7 Spanish angels in the altar of the throne. They were praying for the lovers in the valley of the gun. When the battle stopped and the smoke cleared. Oh, yeah. He's a refugee from the highway, out there fighting for years. Whether for God or for glory, he's been traveling through his fears. And he always feels like his next step will surely set him free. So be kind when he approaches, yeah, 'cause that rebel could be me, yeah. He doesn't know that the road's been dying for so many years.